Curiosity 777. Tonight we'll be getting into part 2 about the infamous killer clown, John Wayne Gacy. I know I say his name like I like it, but it's just got a ring to it. Say it once. John Wayne Gacy. John Mother Gacy. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, we're going to be talking about some of the things that he did. He did some messed up things, guys. I don't know. We're also going to get into maybe why. I want to know in the comments why you think he was like this. Why do you think he did this? If you don't really know much on him, please watch my first video. Excuse me. It will tell you a little more about his childhood. There's not too much information. I've done some digging on his teenage years, but I can't really find anything. So we're going to get started on what I did find on his teenage years, and then we're going to get into the infamous murders that he committed in his adulthood and where he is now. Alright, so getting into what little information I have on John's teenage years. Excuse me. I have a little bit of a cold. But anyway, when John was 14, he suffered from bad seizures. And this was due to his heart condition and poor blood flow. His dad always looked at him as a failure, especially with the heart disease, and he would just beat him for it. Like, that's just jacked up. Why would you beat your own kid for a health disease that they cannot control? The dad was always mad at John. Let's just face it, the dad pretty much, I hate to say it, he hated John. But he did buy John his first car, but it was still in his dad's name. John did pay it off and go and do his own kind of thing, which was becoming part of the neighborhood Democratic Party. He would take notes, be sure that everybody was familiarized with the meetings, that everything was okay, help organize the meetings, stuff like that. His dad saw this as something that was to purposely get him angry. So he thought that John wanted to make him angry, which John did admit at some point in time. He said, I think I did that because I wanted to make my dad angry. I knew it was something he wouldn't like. So you know what he got in return. If you watch the other video, he got beat. So then, excuse me, he moves on with his life. He failed high school. He then became a janitor, and, people made fun of him there even. They made fun of him as a janitor because, he didn't look right, he didn't act right, he didn't seem right. But these people don't know what happened to him as a child and what still goes on in his head. I'm not saying that's an excuse for him to do anything that he did, but, I'm just saying, people do that shit to me. Excuse my French again. They look at me and they're like, oh my god, you are so lazy because you do this and that, but you don't do this. It's like one little thing that I don't do right, and I'm considered lazy. And, long story, I'm going to keep talking about John. This isn't about me, it's about John. So anyway, I'm going to play a short clip for you guys to hear. I hope you can hear it this time. You may need to turn your volume up or wear earplugs. I'm sorry about that, but that's just how it is, for now at least. So hang in there with me and we will get started.
He dressed like a clown to make children laugh. But behind the face paint was a man who tortured and murdered. He was John Wayne Gacy.
When this whole thing's over, you might be witnessing one of the most horrible crimes, perhaps, in a century.
He claimed to be a loving father.
See, I don't believe in hitting children.
But what he did to his young victims was unspeakable.
It was terrible. The smell of death was everywhere.
How he killed those boys for his own pleasures.
Okay, so there you have it. He killed boys for his own pleasure. Where he got this sick, twisted mind, we are trying to figure out. This is why I'm running this mystery channel. So he did have a wife, and her name was Marilyn Myers. He had 2 kids to her, including John Wayne Gacy Jr. But at one point in time, John had taken over the KFC restaurant of his recent father-in-law's, and it was there that he had sodomized his first male victim. He was originally supposed to do 10 years. They did not get into details for exactly what he did, but 10 years, but he only did 18 months because of good behavior. While this was taking place, his wife was divorcing him, as I think she should, because of who would want to have a husband that did something like that? Like, I don't know. It would bother me, and especially because he had a son and he had this interest for little boys. I think the right thing to do would get away from him as well. But that was not that was the only beginning of this. That was only the beginning. So if that's not bad enough, I mean, remember in the other video I had mentioned that he was caught fondling a little girl with one of his friends. So after this incident, he was divorced. He wound up opening a nightclub in his basement. And you know what the nightclub was. It was a male nightclub. This is where he would have his employees perform sexual acts not only on him but on each other. He would get off on this and it would make him feel good. He mainly focused on like boys that didn't know where they were going with life or felt like their lives were nothing. And they would trust in John because apparently he had this charming attitude. I mean, he was Pogo the Clown, for crying out loud. You can already see in the photo, earlier in the video, he's posing with a little boy. Excuse me. So he opens up this nightclub in the basement of his own house. And this is basically where it all begins. He starts bringing in these younger men. He knows that they don't know what they want with life. He sees them as weak and he sees them as targets. Like, he knows that he can get them to give in. He opens this nightclub, makes some money, and does these sick things. They had sex with each other. They would do nasty stuff that I'm not even going to say. You all already know what I'm talking about. But what really broke the ice is when he would start killing his victims. I'm going to show another short clip. Please be advised it may be a little graphical, so if you'd rather skip over it, that is perfectly fine.
On January 2nd, 1972, Gacy picked up 16-year-old Tim McCoy at the Greyhound bus station. John offered to show the boy the sights, then lured him back to his house, where they engaged in sex. When they were done, Gacy grabbed a kitchen knife and plunged it into the teenager's chest. Then he buried the body in the crawl space under his house.
It was impulsive. He really hadn't planned on killing him. But I think that once he did make that move, it gave him the ultimate power trip.
There began to be a confusion between feeling better about himself in the sense of empowering himself to overcome this childhood sense of failure and his sexual desires and needs. Gacy's double life had taken shape. Family, friends, and business associates had no idea who the real John Wayne Gacy was. Not only was he a prosperous entrepreneur by day, but even entertained children in hospitals. He would dress up as a clown he called Pogo.
When I got into clown makeup, I regressed into childhood. It was fun being a clown because you could be yourself or just let yourself go and act a fool.
Alright, so we done went over some of his teenage years, his adulthood, his short-lived marriage. Please let me know in the comment section below what you think so far about John Wayne Gacy. Do you think that this was caused from his childhood? Or do you think that this is something else? Do you think that maybe he practiced black magic or something? Maybe he's possessed. You never know nowadays, you know? Alright y'all, this concludes tonight's video. Thank you for all of you for subscribing, liking, and watching the videos. Please be sure to look out for part 3 of Killer Clown John Wayne Gacy. It is sure coming. And also, please, if you know anybody who likes horrors, please let them know and have them send me a request. I'd be more than happy to do a documentary or something along the lines of that for them. This is a good night from Curiosity 7 to 7. Please stay safe and have a good weekend, guys.